kind regarding pathophysiology, and all those have already been dealt to you. And now I am with how you would manage further. That is my part actually. So while the principles in management is concerned, actually what usually we does during the management is we try to give some drugs. Our mindset is like some drugs need to be produced, and these drugs are quite effective in so and so condition. This is what our mind is about, and our way of approach is has been since a longer time. But actually, behind that, there are some principles. Only based on those principles, we select some medication. So that has to be on track before managing any disease. So that is the point where I am supposed to clear yourself in the management of thyroid disorders.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Yes. The voice is breaking. A little bit. The voice is breaking, sir. Otherwise, it is okay. In between.
Okay. If it is happening again, you may please interrupt me. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Now it's audible, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, so what I was saying is that principle is far more important than the drugs you select. Once you correctly choose the principle for the management, you will end up selecting a lot of drugs which will ensure that the principle is being given to the. So that is the point where I am going to focus on today's topic. Prior to that, in any of the condition, before fixing a management, you should be in a position to understand a particular disease where that management is effective. So I'll be parallelly talking about the disease in a bit also, not to the extent what Dr. Mukesh has already dealt. I'll be just focusing on what the factors you take in a particular condition so that you fix the principle of management. So as you have been already hearing since last 1 or 2 weeks in the last few lectures, that the thyroid gland is equated with the functions of Agni, and more often the thyroid function is very similarly to the functions of Agni as said by our Ayurvedic text. What I have also the same say. I have also the same said that thyroid gland function is very much likely to be under the umbrella of Agni. Based on its function, it is resembling with Agni. So why it is resembling? What are those functions which is resembling the Agni is? You can see that Agni is responsible for growth. Agni is responsible for transformation. Agni is responsible for the development. Agni is responsible for the maturation. Agni is responsible for metabolism. Agni is responsible for thermogenic effect. You already see the Ushna Guna is causing Daha, Paka, Prabha, Varna, Ayushya, Ulsaha, Upajaya, all are the functions described under the Agni. So, as you study this, the Vadas functions are, there are a lot of functions of Vayu. Similarly, Agni is also having some lot of multi-dimensional function. Not only it is responsible for metabolism, it is a prime function, but though by doing metabolism, it is also responsible for offering a lot of other functions like transformation, metabolism, thermogenic effect, etc. And more importantly, the Agni functions under the influence of Vayu. As already quoted in the previous classes, the role of Samana Vayu in augmenting the Agni. The word augmenting is like it always maintains, sustains, and it improves, it stimulates the Agni. That is what the word augmentation, it is stimulating the Agni. So always there is the role of Vayu in stimulating or in augmenting the functions of Agni. That is also more important thing. So always we try to come across that whether all these endocrine hormones are Vayu or these endocrine hormones are Agni, and that debate is not going to end in no time. It is actually, we should focus that any actions which is bringing about some transformation, growth or metabolism can be directly equated to the functions of Agni. So in my presentation, what I would like to propose is all the thyroid gland functions are related to the functions of Agni. For the functioning of this thyroid gland, to functioning of this Agni, the normalcy of three doshas are inevitable for the normal functioning of the thyroid gland. For the functions of Agni or the functions of thyroid gland, we need the normalcy of three doshas. For any functions, the normalcy of three doshas is highly essential. As I already said, the importance of Vayu in the functions of Agni. Even here, there is a role of Vayu in taking caring of the function of Agni. There is a role of Pitta. There is a role of Kava, which I will subsequently say with respect to thyroid gland function. You can see the normal glandular structure, the enzymatic process involved in the production of this thyroxine, the regulatory mechanisms for maintaining these secretions of TSH, TRH, and thyroid hormones through feedback mechanisms, all needs to function in tandem. All the glandular structure needs to be well developed, and the thyroglobulin synthesis should be well developed. There should be a well developed follicular cells, and there should be some enzymes which is responsible for this iodination and this oxidations of iodide. For all these mechanisms should happen normally, should happen in homeostasis. That is what there is the normalcy of tridosha is understood. That is where we can understand that we need normalcy of tridoshas for the normal synthesis, storage, and secretion of this thyroxine. Though it is this thyroxine or the product formed from the thyroid gland is equated to Agni, for the formation, for the storage, and for the function of this Agni, we need the homeostasis of tridosha at the level operating at thyroid gland. So briefly, I'll just tell you how these tridoshas are maintaining these thyroid gland functions. You can see Vada. Vada function is like, it is a regulatory component of the thyroid activity. You have already learned regarding these regulations, this long feedback, short feedback, ultra short feedback, auto regulations. All these are being governed by the functions of Vayu. You can see that if the thyroid hormones free T3 and free T4 levels are raised, or this T3 T4 is raised in the blood, you can see that is well detected by the tissues, and this Samana Vayu, which is operating along with this Agni, senses its over production and it commands to this higher center for reducing this stimulation. That is what the regulatory mechanism is. So there are roles of lot of associated Vayus in regulations, and so the regulations are important for normal thyroid functions in a very statement, we can tell you. The Pitta normalcy at the level of thyroid, you can see that the thyroperoxidase activities, the proteolytic activities for this secretion of thyroxine, hydrolysis, all these need some enzymatic action. These enzymatic actions are nothing but the functions of Pitta operating at the thyroid gland. So if that thyroperoxidase enzymes are deficient, there is no production of thyroxine. Their iodination won't, reduction or oxidation of iodine won't happen. So that is also the most important thing. The kapha, you already see this glandular structure, the follicular cells, the colloidal forms, the thyroglobulins, the glycoprotein. Thyroglobulin is a glycoprotein. These all can be compared to this kapha. So these optimum structure, optimum control mechanism, optimum enzymatic activities will bring about the normal synthesis, storage, and secretion of that thyroxine hormone, or what we call it as Agni. This is regarding these regulations which you have already understood, but still you need to understand that at lot of levels, this Vayu is regulating this thyroid hormone synthesis, secretion, storage. The thyroid gland itself can regulate, that is the auto-regulation. Hypothalamus can regulate, that is through thyrotropic releasing hormone. The anterior pituitary can regulate through the secretion of TSH. And this thyroxine itself can operate through this hypothalamo-pituitary thyroid gland axis. So all these feedback loops, all these negative feedbacks are nothing but the communication between these more important vayus operating. So I will, in the next slide, I will tell about the important vayus which are responsible for regulations. Prior to that, as you all know, this thyroid stimulating hormones action is very important, key factor in deciding the synthesis of thyroxine. How it operates? It operates by secreting hormones. It can cause hyperplasia and hypertrophy of the follicular cells. It increases the vascularity of the gland. These are the mechanism of action of TSH. You can see it synthesizes the hormone, secrete the hormone. It can also cause hypertrophy and hyperplasia of the follicular cell. It's only because of this increased activity of TSH, the gland is having a pathophysiology of enlargement. That is the reason why you have these goiter-like presentations in thyroid disease. It's because of the overstimulation of thyroid stimulating hormone. So I just correlated that overactivity of Udana vayus associated with thyroid enlargement. I'll just tell you how that Udana activities are causing this thyroid enlargement in the latest slide. So as for any function, the role of vayu is very important. It's only the function is operating, a function is taking place only because of its vayu's role in operating those functions. Though pitta is responsible for pajana karma, samana vayu decides when to do pajana and when not to do pajana. Though kapha is causing nidra, pranavayu decides when to cause nidra and when not to cause nidra. In order to awake from the sleep, Udana vayu decides. So always vayu is tandra yantradra, prana udana vyana samana vanatma, pravartaka cheshta munja, sarva kriya is related to vayu. Every function within the body, human physiology is controlled, regulated, maintained, coordinated, initiated by vayu. Once it is initiating, the other doshas play an equal role in operating those functions. It is not that only the vayu is, but vayu is the most important factor for regulating all the functions. You cannot neglect the importance of vayu in any disease. You have a very separate chapter for vayu. You have a separate mode of treatment for vayu. The status of initiating an action is only given for vayu. Through a lot of explanations in text are there. The vada chikilsa is the ardha chikilsa. That is because that whole the human body's function is operated based on the vayus. So you also need to understand this thyroid function related to vayus. You can see the hypothalamic control. Hypothalamus controls all these body functions. It understands, it coordinates, maintains, regulates every functions in the body. And that can be related to the pranavayu. Pranavayu usually operate at the level of shiras, at the level of hridaya, at the level of control center. So hridaya can be understood as a control center. The hypothalamus can be understood as a control center. The body homeostasis is understood at the level of hypothalamus by the pranavayu. The body's need is understood by the pranavayu at the level of hypothalamus. So you can relate that this thyroid gland activity, the necessity of this thyroxine hormone is understood by hypothalamus. And through this stimulus, through the secretion called thyrotropic releasing hormone, it initiates the function. So we can relate this TRH activity to that of pranavayu. The next level of action is at the udana vayu. The anterior pituitary secretes thyroid stimulating hormone. And that can be related to the functions of udana vayu because udana vayu is responsible for all pravrti, all kind of activities which is responsible for storage, synthesis, secretions. Like it is like Srodho Prinana is the function of Udana Vayu. Prayatna, Urja, Balam, Varnam. You can see this Udana Vayu is responsible for this stimulating the thyroid gland to produce thyroxine. It is responsible for the secretion of thyroid hormone. And that is how it initiates every activity. Prayatna, Urja, Vak Pravarti. This Rodho Prinana is nothing but synthesis, storage, and secretion of this thyroxine. Thyroid gland as such. This is a little bit of, I am not sure whether thyroid gland can be equated with Rasadhatu, but I would take it, it's a Rasadhatu component, because all glandular secretions can be understood as a component of Rasadhatu. You can see here this the gland, the colloids, these all these biochemicals secreted there. These are the functions of Rasadhatu. Rasadhatu operates in every tissue. Rasadhatu can reach every dhadus. But still, the relation of thyroid gland to Rasadhatu is a question mark. But many would say that it is an Mamsamedo dhatu. But functionally, I would say it is a Rasadhatu. And the thyroid gland synthesizing an hormone, that is Rasadhatu Agni or Dhatu Agni. You can call it as either as a Dhatu Agni, or you can specifically call it as a Rasadhatu Agni operating in many Dhatus, or stimulating many Dhatu Agnis. You can say the target tissue activity, where this thyroxine hormone is functioning, where it is increasing the basic metabolic rate, where it is causing calorogenic action, where it is causing lipolysis. At all those sites, at peripheral site, it is the Samana Vayu's activity. It can be related to, it is regulated to Samana Vayu activity. So you can see this Prana, Udana, Samana Vayus are dominantly working. It's very much working together for this thyroid gland activity and this thyroxine synthesis and its action. So this is very crucial part. This control system is there. That is the reason why these Vada functions are very important. Next, I would like to talk on regarding, you can see that if you can relate anything, any functions within the body is done by a specific gunas. Any functions within the body is related to the specific gunas. For example, there are a lot of thyroid functions which you have already dealt. For example, calorogenic effect. The heat production effect is because of the Ushna guna, as you all know. The basic metabolic rate, increased metabolic rate, increased metabolism, increased catabolism, is all are because of this Ushna guna, because Ushna guna can cause paga, Ushna guna can cause transformation. Pajana guna is because of this Ushna guna. Protein catabolism. So in a higher level, it causes breakdown of protein. That is the reason why people get myopathies. That is because of overconsumption of this overconsumption of protein. That overconsumption of protein is because of it is causing Ruksha guna vriddhi. The overconsumption of the storage material, of overconsumption of proteins is giving you the highlight that thyroid hormone is Ruksha guna. Reduced body weight. People present with reduced body weight because of this higher metabolic rate. That is, reduced body weight is because of Lagu guna of this Agni. Gluconeogenesis, again the consumption of this glucose, it's again Ruksha guna. Cholesterol degradation, this Neha Kshaya, it is also the Ruksha guna. All the nutrients are being overused by the thyroid hormones. So when they are in overuse, there is a dominant activity of Ruksha guna. Because of this dominant activity of Ruksha guna, this overuse of these nutrients are happening. Reproductive system, all metabolic transformation, the rasam to arthavam conversion, the optimal activity of Rasadhatu Agni is because of this Ushna Guna. The digestive system, there is increased motility, increased appetite, increased transit of this food. It is because of Lagu, Ushna and Sara. Sara is nothing but Anulomana. Sara is causing increased motility. Lagu is causing Shigrapaki, that is easily digestible. Ushna is responsible for Shuttagamana, appetite, increased appetite. In central nervous system activities, increased excitability of nerves, more faster synapses, rapid reflexes. These are all coordinated by Lagu Ushna Guna. In cardiovascular system, again, increased heart rate, increased force of contraction. These are because of, and fibrillation, atrial fibrillations. These are because of Lagu Guna. Growth and development. It also causes growth and development, and that can be understood in terms of Guru Guna. Thyroid hormone is also anabolic. Thyroid hormone is also anabolic initially, but at higher level, that is catabolic. At higher level, these are catabolic in nature. You can see in respiratory system, this thyroid hormone is causing hyperventilation. That is because of increased consumption of oxygen. There is a need of increased ventilation. So the respiratory rates are increased in thyroid, and that signifies overconsumption of oxygen is Ruksha Guna and hyperventilation is Lagu Guna. This is a kind of Shudra Shwasa. Increased RBC mass. Increased RBC mass, again, there is utilization of RBC for this oxygen transport. Once the oxygen consumptions are more, you need a lot of RBC to carry this oxygen. So in that case, it increases the RBC by stimulating the production of erythropoietin. That is where the thyroid hormone and has a role in hematopoietic system. Thyroid hormone directly synthesizes erythropoietin from kidney. So that stimulus of synthesis of erythropoietin is by the overactive of the Ruksha Guna of the thyroid hormone. Cutaneous vasodilation, again it is by Ushna Guna. Tachycardia, it's Lagu Guna. Reflexes, again Lagu Guna. Beta adrenergic activity, all this excitability, increased synapses, these are all because of stimulating this. It is like a beta adrenergic activity. So that is why in all kind of hyperthyroidic symptoms, beta blockers are used. So what I would like to tell by these gunas are, these thyroid hormones does lot of physiology only with these kind of dominant gunas. So overall you can take that the thyroid hormones are Lagu, Ushna and Ruksha. Activity of thyroid hormone causes increased Lagu, Ushna and Ruksha in nature. And of course, when the thyroid hormone is performing anabolic activity, there is Snigdha Guna and Guru Guna. So, because Agni can cause Upajaya, Agni can cause Dadukshaya. Agni can cause both Dadukshaya and also as well as Upajaya. The Upajaya can happen only when there is proper nutrition supply. Once the nutrition supply is not that, or when hyperthyroidism develops, there is increased consumption of this nutrition happens at more faster rate. That is why in hyperthyroidism, you can see there is reduced cholesterol. You can see rapid absorption of glucose. You can see rapid absorption when you do glucose tolerance test. These are the things because overutilization is happening. So once overutilization of all these fuels are happening like carbohydrate, lipid, protein, all it is being utilized, and this utilization will create Rukshada in the Dhatu. So that is basic understanding of this thyroid functions of thyroxine hormone in a lot of other tissues. We can come to a point that it is operating with these more important gunas like Lagu, Ushna and Ruksha. So one more thing which I would like to tell you regarding the vitamin metabolism. Thyroid hormone creates lot of enzymes. It synthesizes enzyme with utilizing vitamins. So the thyroid hormone utilizes vitamins more in case when it is elevated. In elevated thyroid hormone conditions, there is rapid utilization of vitamin and people suffer from